He won't have anything left if I do this right. My name is Ryan. I'm 40, a software engineer, and I work remotely from our home in Tacoma, Washington. That message wasn't supposed to be seen by me. I was updating the family tablet that morning, syncing calendars and backing up photos, when her private text suddenly appeared. The automatic sync had pulled everything from Lena's phone. I sat stunned at my desk, coffee untouched, reading her messages to someone named Patricia Hoffman. I didn't know who Patricia was at the time, but the message made my chest tighten. She was discussing me like I was already out of the picture, a nuisance to eliminate, not the father of our kids. For 3 years, I'd taken over school drop-offs while she slept in. I made dinner most nights because she said cooking overwhelmed her. When Maya had pneumonia last year, I was the one up all night monitoring her breathing. Lena complained she missed book club. When Jacob needed help with his volcano project, I was the one gluing cardboard at midnight. I believed we were in this together. All those long nights debugging code to afford her yoga sessions and weekend trips, I thought it meant something. When she said she needed space, I gave it. When she said my work took too much time, I rearranged my schedule. But that morning, scrolling through weeks of messages never meant for me, the truth hit hard. She wasn't trying to work on things. She was preparing to end the marriage and take me down with it. Judges eat that stuff up in court, she'd written. Mental instability angle works every time. I closed the tablet and resumed my day like normal. Made the kids breakfast, packed lunches, drove them to school. Maya chatted about her spelling bee. Jacob showed off a bruise from soccer. Normal Tuesday stuff. But something in me had changed. That evening, over dinner, I watched Lena smile at her phone while the kids told her about their day. She left, kissed my cheek, and asked about my work. Meanwhile, she was texting someone under the table. I looked at her and no longer saw my wife. I saw an opponent. Someone who had been studying me, planning to strip me of everything I cared about. We met 8 years ago at a coffee shop in downtown Seattle. She was reading Hemingway, complaining to a friend about men not understanding literature. I should have paid more attention to her tone, but she was stunning, sharp, and impressed when I said I'd read the same book. 6 months later, we were living together. A year after that, engaged. She left her marketing job when Maya was born, saying she wanted to focus on motherhood. I backed her 100%. Took extra projects, worked late, made sure money was never a worry. Looking back, I can see the shift. It was subtle. She stopped asking about my work, started rolling her eyes when I talked about my projects. After Jacob was born, she treated me more like a roommate than a husband. You work too much, she'd say if I stayed late to meet a deadline. But if I cut back, she said money was tight. When I suggested she work part-time again, she said I didn't value her as a mom. Nothing was ever right. She wanted me there, but not too present. Supportive, but not involved. Successful, but not absent. I kept adapting to keep the peace. Then came her new friends from yoga class. They constantly swapped divorce stories, how they drained their exes in court, how family law always favored moms. Lena laughed along, asked pointed questions about our finances, about custody laws in Washington. She became obsessed with logistics, whose name was on which account, how assets were titled. Last month, she suggested therapy. Dr. Elizabeth Reed. I was hopeful. Finally, we'd work on our issues. But from session 1, it felt off. Lena twisted stories, made me sound controlling. Ryan has anger issues, she said in session 3. I was stunned. I rarely even raised my voice. He gets paranoid about money, she added. I calmly explained I'd managed our finances because she asked me to. See, she told Dr. Reed. He's doing it again, acting like I'm irresponsible. That night, she apologized, said she was stressed. But she also insisted we start recording our talks for therapy. I didn't connect the dots yet. Over the next 2 weeks, I found more messages. Patricia Hoffman was a divorce attorney, a specialist in high-conflict custody battles. Their conversations spanned months. Document everything, Patricia wrote. Anytime he raises his voice, shows signs of control or paranoia, we need a pattern. Lena wasn't looking to heal. She was baiting me. Counseling wasn't help. It was evidence collection. Dr. Reed was there to log my supposed instability. She had instructions on hiding money transfers, accusing me of financial manipulation. Even suggested her sister Rebecca could testify about my behavior, though Rebecca barely knew me. The recordings will seal it, Patricia had written. If you can provoke him into anger on tape, that's our win. Everything made sense. The sudden interest in marriage repair, the new habit of recording sensitive conversations. I almost confronted her. But then I remembered those yoga-fueled divorce chats. Ex-husbands branded as paranoid. Courts that never asked for both sides. So I stayed silent and did what I do best. I researched. Washington's a one-party consent state. I could record legally. I upgraded our home security to include audio, logged phone calls. I'd been on defense without knowing I was in a game. Now I knew the rules. That evening, she brought up money again. Said I was hiding income. Her phone sat on the counter, red light blinking. You're right, I said. I should have mentioned that payment. Let me show you. I opened my laptop, walked her through the invoice. Transparent, patient, calm. You okay? She asked. You seem off. Just a long day coding, I replied. But I wasn't tired. For the first time in months, I was fully alert. She thought she was building a trap. But I was building a system. 3 weeks after I discovered her plan, I decided to test whether she might abandon it. Planned a weekend getaway, just us. My parents took the kids. Ocean shores, waterfront view, dinner at our old anniversary spot. She seemed happy at first. We walked the beach, talked about old times. She mentioned a family vacation. Then Saturday morning, the phone appeared again. I've been thinking about us, she said. Do you think we're truly compatible? I should have seen the trap. But I stayed calm. We're in a rough patch, I said. But we've built a life. That's worth fighting for. She pushed harder. What if one person changes? Then we work through it like adults. She kept fishing for reactions. Said I didn't see her anymore. That I only cared about work. That hurt, but I explained my job was for our family's future. There you go again, she snapped. Making it all about money. The conversation dragged for over an hour. Every reply I gave, she twisted. Every reassurance, she dismissed. I realized then, this trip wasn't for healing. It was to corner me. Alone. On tape. Angry. I didn't give her what she wanted. Driving home Sunday, she was texting furiously. Probably updating Patricia. Monday, she dropped the bomb. I made us an appointment with a different therapist, she said. Dr. Michael Stevens. He specializes in high conflict couples. She packed Maya's lunch like it was any other day. I told him about your defensiveness. How you get angry when I bring up problems. I had never yelled. Never lashed out. But in her version, calmness was repressed rage. Explaining finances was control. Trying to connect was manipulation. The session was set for Friday. She insisted I come. Didn't mention that Dr. Stevens was known for detailed case notes, notes that could be used in court. That week, She turned up the heat, undermined me in front of the kids, bought expensive things, then accused me of being controlling, started arguments at night, then blamed me for her stress. Every time, her phone was recording. Every time, I stayed calm. Every time, her frustration grew. By Thursday, I knew trying to fix us was only feeding her plan. Every session, every conversation, every kind gesture, ammunition. She wasn't seeking peace. She was building a case. And my cooperation was her weapon. Friday came. We drove to Dr. Stevens' office. She smiled like everything was normal, like we were just another couple, looking for help. She had no clue I'd been recording every conversation for 3 weeks, or that I had already retained an attorney familiar with Washington state custody laws. Everything was about to shift. From the moment we stepped into Dr. Stevens' office, the setting felt staged. I was seated farther from the door. Lena, conveniently, was closer to the counselor. She had clearly prepped him, because he zeroed in on my tone and posture, not what I was actually saying. "Ryan, Lena tells me you've had trouble managing stress lately," he began. "How would you describe your emotional state?" It was a trap. Any answer could be twisted. Say I'm fine? I'm in denial. Admit distress? I'm unstable. I went with the truth. I've been concerned about our marriage. Some days are tough, but I want to work through it. What concerns you most? Dr. Stevens asked, pen scratching across his notepad. I glanced at Lena. She nodded slightly, encouraging me another setup. Communication, mostly. It often feels like we're having two separate conversations about the same thing. Can you give an example? Before I could respond, Lena cut in. He gets suspicious about money. Last week, he accused me of hiding purchases. That wasn't true. I hadn't accused her. I'd asked about a credit card charge I didn't recognize. But denying it would only make me sound defensive. I asked about a charge, I said carefully. I just wanted clarity for budgeting. See? Lena said to Dr. Stevens. He says it's understanding, but it feels like interrogation. And that's how the session went. For nearly an hour, every concern I brought up was reframed as controlling. Every attempt to explain was labeled defensive. Dr. Stevens nodded thoughtfully, his questions seeming designed to validate Lena's story. When it ended, Lena scheduled our next session like she was booking a lunch date. She looked satisfied. But that night, I made a decision. I called the attorney I'd been quietly working with, Thomas Fletcher, a specialist in father's rights. It was time to lay everything out. Bring every recording, he said, and those text messages. We need to establish a pattern before she makes her move. The next morning, while Lena was at yoga, I met with Thomas. He listened to nearly 3 hours of recordings, conversations where Lena baited me into arguments, therapy sessions where she twisted our discussions, calls with her sister coaching testimony. This is remarkable, Thomas said. I've seen setups before, but this is deliberate. She's been crafting a case for months. He explained her tactics. Create counseling records suggesting emotional instability. Collect out-of-context audio to hint at paranoia. Recruit coached witnesses. Then file for sole custody, claiming fear for her safety and the kids. The good news, he continued, is you've got the full blueprint. The coached calls, the misrepresentations, it's all here. But there was bad news too. Lena was accelerating her plan. Thomas had learned that Patricia Hoffman, her attorney, was preparing to file within 2 weeks. They were afraid I'd catch on. We need to act first, he said. File for divorce and request a custody evaluation. Force them to respond to our facts. I thought of Maya and Jacob, how blindsided they'd be. How their mother's lies would hurt them more than anyone. Do it, I said. File tomorrow. That night, I tucked the kids in like always. read Jacob his favorite book about dragons, helped Maya with her spelling. A normal Tuesday evening, except it wouldn't be normal ever again. Lena had no idea what was coming. By 9 a.m. Wednesday, our divorce petition was filed. By 10 o'clock, we had requested an emergency custody evaluation and submitted evidence of Lena's scheme. By 11 o'clock, Patricia Hoffman was frantically calling Thomas. Lena found out when the process server rang the doorbell at 3 p.m. I was in my office when I heard the door, then silence. 10 minutes later, she stormed in, white-faced, holding the papers. "What is this?" she demanded. I looked up. "Divorce papers. You're familiar with them. You've been planning this for months." Her mouth opened, but no words came. This wasn't her script. She was supposed to file first, control the narrative, paint me as the unhinged husband. "I don't understand," she said. "We were working on things." "You mean counseling? The sessions where you twisted every word I said?" I kept my voice calm. "I know about Patricia. I know everything." The color drained from her face. "I don't know what you're talking about." I opened my laptop and hit play. Her voice filled the room, talking with her sister Rebecca. "Just say he yells when you spend. Make it sound scary." "Perfect," Lena responded. "And say he ignores the kids when he's working." I paused the recording. There are hours more. Texts, calls, coaching sessions. She tried another tactic, emotional appeal. "You recorded me? In our home? That's insane." "Washington is a one-party consent state," I replied. "Recording's legal. Unlike planning perjury in family court." She went silent. Patricia had clearly skipped that legal briefing. "You're sick," she said quietly. "Who records their wife?" "The man who realized his wife was trying to destroy him." She left without another word. I heard her on the phone minutes later, probably Patricia, scrambling to contain the fallout. But it was too late. Thomas had filed motions to exclude manipulated evidence. Dr. Stevens' notes would be scrutinized. Her witnesses would be exposed. The custody evaluation was set for the next week. This time, I wasn't on the defensive. I was presenting the truth. That evening, the kids could sense something. Maya asked if Mommy was sick. Jacob asked why I seemed different. I helped with homework, cooked dinner, kept things steady. Lena stayed locked in the bedroom, likely talking strategy with her lawyer. When she finally came out, she looked composed but shaken. "We need to talk," she said. "We can do that through attorneys." "Ryan, please. We don't have to destroy everything." I looked at her for a long time. 8 years of marriage. The mother of my kids. The person who tried to take everything. "You already did," I said. "I'm just documenting the wreckage." The custody hearing lasted 3 hours. Patricia Hoffman tried her usual routine, portraying me as an emotionally unstable workaholic who micromanaged finances and family life. Dr. Stevens was ready to testify about my alleged anger and defensiveness. Then Thomas played the recordings. First, Lena coaching Rebecca. Then, her and Patricia crafting false narratives. Finally, Lena rehearsing how to cry on command. Judge Patricia Morrison stopped the session after the second clip. "Counselor," she said to Patricia Hoffman, "were you aware your client was attempting to manipulate this court?" Patricia looked stunned. Clearly, Lena had lied to her too. "Your Honor, we had no knowledge of these recordings." "Alleged?" the judge asked, playing another clip, Lena explicitly discussing perjury. "This appears to be your client's voice planning to deceive the court." Thomas presented it all: texts, call logs, records of hidden finances, attempts to bait me into arguments. Lena sat frozen as the narrative she'd constructed crumbled in front of everyone. Dr. Stevens requested to be excused from testifying. Patricia tried to recover, insisting that marital tension didn't disprove custody concerns. But Judge Morrison had heard enough. This court does not tolerate manipulation of the legal process, she said. The evidence reflects a premeditated effort to deny a father his rights through deceit. She denied all of Lena's motions, granted me primary custody, ordered a financial audit, referred Lena's case to the DAW for possible perjury charges. As we exited, Lena didn't speak. Patricia was already trying to negotiate damage control. I had won. The house, custody, the truth, but I didn't feel triumphant, just exhausted. 6 weeks later, Maya asked if Mommy was coming home. She has her own place now, I said, stirring pasta. You'll see her on weekends. Lena lived in a small apartment across town. The court granted her supervised visitation pending counseling. She followed the rules, likely to avoid prosecution. Jacob adjusted quickly. He was only 6. Maya, at 8, understood more than she let on. I kept their world steady. Same routines. Same reassurance. That Tuesday, Thomas called. She took the plea deal. Community service and counseling. Avoids jail time. Patricia's under review with the bar. It's over, he said. Completely over. I thanked him, hung up, and sat in my office, the same room where I'd first found the messages, where I started documenting everything. Maya poked her head in. Daddy, can we practice spelling? Of course. We sat at the table. She wrote, important, careful. Family. I had learned that the most powerful victories aren't loud. They come through persistence, truth, and quiet resolve. My family was smaller now, but it was honest, and that was enough.